Hey everyone, welcome back to One Page Ahead podcast, where I go through the most popular self-help books one chapter at a time so you get the conversational lesson without reading a single page. My name's Thomas Sang, and in season 1, episode 5, we're talking about Atomic Habits, chapter 5, and this chapter is called The Best Way to Start a New Habit. The chapter starts off with a research that they did in 2001 in Great Britain with about 250 people to build better exercise habits over the course of 2 weeks. There's 3 controlled groups, and the first controlled group was asked to track how often they exercised. The second group was asked to track how often they exercised, but also they were the motivation group. So they had the motivational material, they had the benefits of exercising, they were asked to read articles on how it reduces heart diseases and all that good stuff. And the last group, the third group, not only got the same presentation as the second group, but they also had to write down when and where they were going to exercise. So they had to write down, I will partake in at least 20 minutes of rigorous exercise on day, at time, in place. And the first 2 groups had a 35-38% success rate, where people exercise at least once per week. The third group had 91% of their participants exercise at least once a week. What they wrote down is called implementation intention. Now, in the previous chapters, we talked about cues, and the most common cues is time and location. Implementation intention takes advantage of both of those. So in this chapter, it talks about if you write things down of when you're going to do it and where you're going to do it, you are going to most likely do it. This is probably the reason why people that actually use agendas get more stuff done. So if you bring that back to goals and habits for a second, me telling myself I'm going to eat healthier, I'm going to exercise more, I leave that up to chance because I don't really have an action plan of how to do it. I've told myself I'm going to do it. And then in this book, it talks about how many people think it's a lack of motivation. I'm just not motivated today to do it. I don't have the energy to do it. But really, it is the planning aspect. We haven't planned to do it. We haven't made it easy for us to follow through on what we said we're going to do. So the best way to actually do what you tell yourself you're going to do is this short sentence right here that you have to fill out. It is, I will, behavior, at, time, in, location. For example, if I want to drink more water, I'll say, I will drink a glass of water at 6 a.m. in the kitchen. And I'd write that down. A really strong takeaway for me in this chapter is this sentence right here. Give your habits a time and a space to live in this world. In a previous episode, I talked about we just need to be a little bit more kind to ourselves. Don't beat ourselves up if we don't accomplish something. Instead, look for ways to do it. Something that stuck with me is I read, it's not I can't do something, it's how can I do something. The how opens up your creative mind to find solutions to accomplishing the problem that's at hand. Whereas the I can't do something closes off our creative brain and tells us that there's no point of moving forward. I will find comfort in the status quo. Now that we've learned a little bit about implementation intention, I want to talk about something called habit stacking. Probably one of the key takeaways in the book, in my opinion, but I don't know. Who can say? We're 5 chapters deep into this book. And in order for me to tell you about habit stacking, I'm going to tell you the story that they have around a gentleman named Dennis Diderot. Now, Diderot was one of the co-creators of the encyclopedia, but he lived in poverty. But his daughter was about to get married, and he really wanted to buy her a nice dress. Although Diderot was broke as a button, he had the opportunity to sell his encyclopedia collection for £1,000, which is worth about $150,000 today. That's a lot of money. Now, suddenly, Diderot had enough money to buy not only the dress for his daughter's wedding, but at the same time, he was able to treat himself to something nicer. So what did he buy? Of course, he bought a Gucci robe. I'm kidding. I don't know what robe he bought, but it is a really nice robe. Scarlet robe is what they said. It was so nice that he started to see how ugly his space was, how ordinary the stuff looked. And so he started upgrading the different things in his home. He bought an expensive mirror. He replaced his straw chair with a leather one. He bought beautiful ornaments for his home, and hence the name Diderot Effect. So what, who cares? Someone bought some nice stuff, got some money, and start upgrading stuff. Yeah, well, the point is, a lot of people do this. They will change one thing And then everything else seems out of place. So think about this for a second. You buy a new suit, you buy a new dress. All of a sudden, the shoes that you have don't match your dress or suit. And so you go out and you buy new shoes. And next thing you know, you're looking at watches. And you want a new haircut or get your hair done. You start to get the cycle. We often decide to do things based off of what we just completed. And one of the main takeaways is we don't do things in isolation. Have you ever started cleaning a place? Let's say, for example, I'll clean my workstation, and then next thing you know, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll clean the back. I'm going to tidy up the books. Then next to it, I'm like, let me go ahead and bring a couple of my cups back to the kitchen there. And then I'm at the kitchen, I'm like, oh, let me just wash these dishes too. Each of those actions triggers the next action, and that's what's so important. And I'm going to share with you now habit stacking. So we just talked about implementation intention, which is to make sure that we get something done in the time and place that we say and write down that we're going to. Habit stacking, instead of pairing your new habit with a time and place, you're going to pair it with another habit that you already do. But think about the snowball effect, really taking advantage of the momentum that we've built from one habit and stacking it on top of another. I know I make my coffee every single morning. So with habit stacking, because I already have the habit of making my coffee in the morning, I'm going to say, after I make my coffee, I will sit down and read my book for one chapter. Okay, so in the last chapter, we talked about the habit scorecard, where actually there's a couple templates. So if you don't have them yet, go back to chapter 4, my video on chapter 4, and you can download the template in the description section there. And with the scorecard, you'll understand every single thing that you're doing in the day, conscious, unconscious, because you've written it down. And to layer on top of that, habit stacking is now looking at your current structure of things that you already do, and then finding a good place to put your new habit to increase your chances and making sure that you actually do that new habit. Now, this goes back to the other point earlier around you have to give your habits a place to live and breathe. If you know that your morning is going to be super busy, well, I'm not going to stack my habit in a busy morning, because that just means that the chances of me actually doing it is likely not going to happen. So right now in my morning routine, there's a step where I make my morning coffee. And after I make my morning coffee, I'm scrolling through my phone. I'm going to replace that with reading a book. Now, the trick to that, right, is it's too vague, reading a book. Where am I going to read a book? How long I'm going to read the book for? Is it after I drink coffee? Is it when I enjoy my coffee at the same time? Sounds kind of dumb, but it's really important to note the clearer you can get your cue, the more likely you will do it. So in my instance, I'm going to say, after I make my morning coffee, I will walk straight to my office, read the first page before I take my first sip, and then continue to enjoy my coffee as I finish one chapter. I think as I continue to read this book, it is very clear to me that this is all about consistency, and the people that actually get stuff done are the ones that are relentless with their planning, are hyper aware of their actions, and have a strong intention of getting stuff done regardless of the results. And so as I continue to read these chapters and I continue to make these videos, that is my intention. And so you're going to see a lot more consistency with the content that's coming out. So follow me on this journey, like this video, let me know what your thoughts are on this chapter, especially around implementation intention, and what type of habit stacking you're going to add onto your routines. This is One Page Ahead Podcast, and I'll catch you in chapter 6. Take care.